You can now run Python code directly in Excel for free. Yup, totally for free, and it even works with older version of Excel too. So not only the 365 version. Plus it can handle all different kinds of automation tasks like deleting cells, adding new worksheets, connecting to APIs and so on and so forth that used to require VBA before. Now just to be clear, I'm not talking about Microsoft's built-in Python and Excel function, which is great for data analysis, but not so much for automation tasks. The solution I'm about to show you is like a real Python alternative to VBA and Office Scripts. And the best part, you don't even need to have Python installed on your machine. All you need to do is to install one add-in from the Microsoft add-in store and you're good to go. No extra setup needed. So let us not waste any more time and let's jump right into it. The add-in is called xlwings Lite, and to install it, go to the add-in store under the Home tab. Search for xlwings Lite. Once you find it, click on it. The xlwings Lite interface will open up automatically. Now, this might take a second to load, but once it's done, you will see the main window. Here you can write your Python code. The bottom window is your console, and in the Requirements tab, you can install more packages if needed. By default, you will also see some sample code already loaded in. So let's go ahead and test that sample code together. For that, I'm gonna select a cell and then click this button here. And just like that, it inserts Hello World into the cell with a yellow background. Now let's take a look at what just happened. First, we've got our imports. To interact with Excel, it uses the xlwings package. The good news is, if you worked with xlwings before, this will feel super familiar. Because with this add-in, you can now write your xlwings code directly in your spreadsheet. And if you are coming from a VBA background, I think xlwings should be pretty easy to pick up because it also uses the COM interface behind the scenes, which means the syntax is really similar to what you already used in VBA. And if you've never touched Python, Office Scripts or VBA before, then don't worry. You can of course always turn to AI tools like ChatGPT to help you write the code and learn as you go. By the way, I also do that all the time, so using AI tools to write the code. Because these days I rarely write the code myself, but that's a topic for another video. Alright, now back to our sample code. First you need to use the script decorator above your function. The function itself takes the workbook as an argument. This lets you access the workbook's properties and methods, like getting the current selection. Then we use that selection to update the value and change the background color. This also means that if I change the value here and press the button again, we will see the new output show up in the cell. Now what's also really cool about this small editor is that you can basically write your normal Python code, including some print statements. And it even comes with IntelliSense, just like in VBA. For example, when I use the selected range object and type a dot, I can see a list of all the methods and properties available for that object. So let's pick for example the address property here. So when I run the code again, you will now see the cell address printed in the console. Now with that you might not be super impressed, but as the function name suggests, this is just a simple Hello World example. But once you understand how it works, you can build pretty much anything in Excel using Python. So in the next example, we are using the 𝗟𝗏𝗦 library. First we are getting a dataset hosted on GitHub. The code then adds a new sheet, inserts a header and fills it with the data as a native Excel table. And then it uses the 𝗟𝗏𝗦 library to create a join plot and insert that plot as an image right into the sheet. Also again, you will see the script decorator being used here. And once that is in place, the function will appear in the drop-down menu of the button. So let me go ahead and select the 𝗟𝗏𝗦 example and run the code. Alright, and now we've got our dataset and the join plot right in Excel. But it even gets cooler. You're not just limited to running Python code with a button. You can now even create Excel formulas that uses Python behind the scenes. Let me show you. For that I'm gonna run the last example script, which inserts sample functions into a new sheet. Here we will start with another simple Hello World example. It is pretty similar to before, but this time you need to use a function decorator. Then you define your function parameters, write your Python logic and return the result. In this case we are just taking a text as an input and adding hello in front of it. Now if I update the code and recalculate the cell, the output updates too. And what makes this even more powerful is that you can also return Excel arrays. So in the next example, we return some sample data as an array. And as you can see, the output is dynamic based on your input. Alright, and next up, let me also show you another cool feature of xlwings. So when you are doing data analysis in Python, you will often deal with pandas data frames. And xlwings makes it really easy to turn any Excel range into a pandas data frame. All you have to do is to input the range of your data. And then, using the built-in converter, that range gets turned into a pandas data frame automatically. And once you've got the data in a data frame, you can do all the advanced data analysis and data science work you're used to do. And of course, you're not just limited to data analysis. You can use any other Python package you want, whatever fits your workflow. So for that, you can switch to the Requirements tab and list the packages you need. And I will talk about those in just a moment. But just to give you an idea, you could, for example, now input the OpenAI package and then use ChatGPT right in Excel. And I will actually make a dedicated video about that. But just so that you can see how powerful this could be, here's a little sneak peek. So here I created a custom ChatGPT function, and with that, for example, you could translate any given text to any other language. Of course, this is just one example. And if you don't want to miss that video, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Okay, next up, let me also address some questions you probably already have in mind. And for that, I will turn to the official xlwings Lite documentation. Of course, I will also leave the link to the page in the description below. Alright, so first off, you might be wondering, is this add-in actually free? And the short answer is yes. You can use it for both personal and also for commercial use. Next up, and this is also one of the questions I had when I first tried it out, is where's the Python code actually stored? And the answer is, it is stored right in the workbook. And that's actually pretty cool, because it means you can write your Python code and anyone who has the add-in installed can start using it right away. So this makes sharing your solution super easy. Okay, next up, let's talk about privacy. Unlike Microsoft's Python in Excel, xlwings Lite doesn't send out any data. The code you run stays local. Nothing gets sent to the cloud or anywhere else. That also means there are no usage limitations. But even though it runs locally, you still don't need to have Python installed. And that's because it uses WebAssembly and 𝗙𝗢𝗢𝗏 in the background. This is super convenient, but of course it also comes with some downsides. For example, you can't install just any package. You are limited to the ones that work with 𝗙𝗢𝗢𝗏, and I will talk more about that in a second. Also in general, you can use API calls, but the server you are calling has to support something called CORS. Now CORS stands for Cross-Origin Resource Sharing. Basically, it's a security rule built into your browser. It checks if it's okay to share data between two different sites. Now, why is that important? Now, xlwings actually runs Python in the browser using 𝗙𝗢𝗢𝗏. So the same security rule for browsers apply here. Now, if you want to learn more about that, then I recommend checking out this article, which is linked here. Next, and I'm pretty sure some of you are wondering about this, maybe you have heard or already used Microsoft's built-in Python in Excel. And now you're asking yourself, what is the difference between xlwings Lite? Now, for that, I suggest checking out the article linked here in the documentation. It basically covers all the key differences between the two. Alright, and with that said, let's go over a few more limitations. So one of the main limitations is that you can only install packages that are supported by 𝗙𝗢𝗢𝗏. And you might also face some issues when trying to use certain web APIs. Also, there is no debugger right now, and 𝗙𝗢𝗢𝗏 has a memory of 2 GB, so keep that in mind if you are planning to run bigger and more complex operations. Another limitation is that you currently can't access the local file system. Now, having access to the local file system would be definitely useful for many automation tasks in my opinion. But the good news is, if you check out the roadmap, this feature is already planned. And there are some other exciting improvements coming too, like an interactive Python terminal, AI coding support, Git integration, and of course the most important feature of all, dark mode. Now I'm definitely gonna experiment more with xlwings Lite and try to build some cool Excel solutions powered by Python, and I will be sharing them right here on the channel. Now lastly, it would be super cool to know what you are planning to build with xlwings Lite. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching and I will see you in the next video.